We're excited that you're going to be launching a new e-commerce site, and this video is designed to help give you the very first steps that you want to consider as we begin this process of configuring Counterpoint so that it can integrate with your e-commerce site. So one of the first things that you need to consider is what is going to be your web store's product structure. We won't be using Counterpoint's categories and subcategories. And the reason is that those are for your internal management. They may not be named something that's friendly enough for customers to your website, and they may not be organized in the depth that you may desire. So instead, we use something called internet categories. And we'll be introducing that to you today so that you can begin setting up your internet categories in Counterpoint. Internet categories offer a lot of flexibility. As an example, an item can live in more than one internet category. So for example, a 22 rifle can be assigned to a gifts for kids category as well as a rifles category. Or another example would be a hunting boot that might be assigned to the clothing category as well as to a brand called Irish Setter. And internet categories also allow multi-level drill downs. So for instance, archery, then you can drill down to arrows and then to specifically carbon arrows. Now, we typically don't recommend that you have more than 3, and many of our customers actually only use 2, but it is possible to use to go even deeper. So my recommendation for figuring this out for your store is take a look at what others are doing. And I'll give you a quick example of just a few sites. Here's a website where they have some of their first level of their category, internet category, at the top of the page. And then if you can click on it, you see that there is a second level here. It would drill to freshwater, and then could go down to a level as low as fly reels. Similarly in hunting, there's hunting ammo, rifle ammo, shotgun ammo, firearm. This is another of our clients, and they have a variety of let's see if I can get this all pulled together here. Sorry about this. So they have a number of different categories that they use, and then you can click on the plus sign and get to the lower level for each one. So that's a different way that someone has used the internet categories in order to navigate. There's another client, and again, it's very similar, right? We see firearms in the various categories of firearms that they've put in, archery in the various archery categories that they've created, et cetera, et cetera. So again, don't try to come up with this on your own. Take a look at of course, use your Counterpoint categories and subcategories to help you, but also look at a number of other sites out there to see what other people have been doing. The next thing that you want to consider is what is the level of effort that's going to be involved in setting up all of your items. So you have to consider how much time is it going to take to find the photos for items if you intend to have photos, and most people do, of course. And then are you going to write unique and extensive descriptions? Having unique and extensive descriptions helps with your search engine optimization so that your site will be found, but that does require quite a bit of time. Let's just look at a couple of quick examples. So here would be an example of a product of a website where they spent quite a bit of time coming up with a custom description that describes this particular product that I clicked on. We do have clients, however, that this is what their description is in Counterpoint. They did find a picture of the item, but they didn't bother with writing a complete description. So that option is completely up to you, but you want to consider what it is that you want to do. And then take whatever it is that you want to do and estimate how much time is it going to take you to find a photo and how much time is it going to take you to write a description. And then multiply that by the number of items that you want to carry on your site. And the answer to that may be that you decide to carry fewer items on your site than what you might have initially planned. And that does get into, don't assume that you want to list every item. One reason you might not want to list it is because it just takes so much time to put the items there. But there are other reasons to not to list it. One is you probably don't want to list your heavy and large items because they're just too expensive to ship across the country. You probably don't want to list commodity items. You don't want to clutter your store with items that are available anywhere. As an extreme example, you might sell bottles of water in your store, but that doesn't mean in your physical store, but that doesn't mean that you want to list the bottles of water in your e-commerce store. And you probably don't want to list very inexpensive items because oftentimes the margin that you're going to make on that item is too low to justify spending the labor to box it up and ship it. Now that we've gone through this quick introduction, what I want to do is open up Counterpoint and demonstrate how it is that you can create your internet categories. And this is the first thing that I want you to do, even before we install our integration into your environment, is for you to spend the time to go through and create that structure that we talked about previously, and to define all of your internet categories. So here we are in Counterpoint, and where I want you to navigate to is the Setup button, and then E-commerce. And you'll see that there will be two tabs in here. And the button that we want to push to set up our internet categories is this Categories button. And it'll pop up a page that looks just like this. Yours will likely be empty. You can see in my example one, I've got Shopify set up first. For this demo, we're working with WooCommerce, so I'm going to highlight the categories, the very top level thing, and then click the Add button. I'm going to add one called WooCommerce. No space in between. So we can see WooCommerce is now present. Now I'm going to click WooCommerce, and once again I'm going to click Add. And for this is my first category. Let's say it's going to be firearms. Excellent. And let's say that I'm going to have 3 subcategories under that category of firearms. So I click on firearms, and now I can add these. Spaces are okay. You want this to be how it is. You want this to be exactly how it is that you want to display it to your customer. So don't use unusual abbreviations that the customer for which the customer would not be familiar. So I've added my 3 categories that I want to have appear underneath firearms. Now I could choose to use this move up or move down button. And maybe I want handguns. I want it to, the order that I want things to appear are rifles, shotguns, and handguns. So you're able to choose what order they appear. It does not have to be alphabetical. And then I want to add my next category. Well, if I'm adding my next category, I don't want to click here. I want to click back on the WooCommerce area. And I'll click Add, and let's say that this category is going to be women's clothing. So we can see that it now appears below the firearms tab. It doesn't yet have a little plus, like the firearms has a plus because we've defined some subcategories underneath it. Women's clothing doesn't have that yet because we haven't defined one, but let's do that now. So we're going to highlight women's clothing. I'm going to click the Add button. I'm going to add women's vest. And again, I'm going to highlight women's clothing and click Add. I'm going to add hunting gloves. The last category that I'm going to demonstrate creating is gifts for kids. Again, because I want this to be at the same level as firearms and women's clothing, I need to click on WooCommerce and click Add. And we now have gifts for kids. You can see that it alphabetized it, but maybe that's not where I want it to appear. So I'm going to click gifts for kids and click move it down. And now it's underneath women's clothing. Once again, I can click gift for kids and create a subcategory. Let's say we call this subcategory under here is BB guns. So by clicking these little plus and minuses, I can reduce the ladder. So that's all you need to do. All you need to do is work over here in this pane with these buttons. Don't worry about anything that's over in this pane. This has to do with assigning items into these various categories, and we're not ready to do that just yet. All we want to do is get your full category scheme under under the proper integration. In this case, it's WooCommerce. So create each of these and give us a call if you have any trouble at all. Thank you.